to the K.
A2theK.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to A2theK Wrestling Show, and welcome to another episode of 10. This time, we are going to take you through the 10 best women's WrestleMania matches. A2theK's running wild.
And if you love it, or you disagree with any parts of it, why don't you let us know in the comments? Boom!
Look at us.
Hey, remember
Look at us, guys. And why don't you subscribe while you're there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I don't have to be too prepared for this,
Oh yeah, I'm expecting full detailed. I want play by play, everything that happens.
because I'll be honest with you, I have not done my research.
They're always more fun. Let's go into shall we? Because I think you're up first, so I'm thinking
nice. Okay, let's do
because
this.
in at number 10 we've got Charlotte and Asuka.
Okay, I can prepare for this because this was New Orleans and I remember it. Right? What? Yeah, I can say it like that.
New Orleans.
It's fine.
A big ball of jambalaya in this shit.
Yeah, you know what? Like, Charlotte's probably going to appear here more than once. I think it's fair to say.
People can say what they want about Charlotte, but
She is
it's
a legend.
undeniable. You know,
I'm probably, we were talking with somebody before about Charlotte, and then she sort of had to sort of make her own path, hasn't she? And she'll always have that, like, what's the comparison to her father?
Mhm.
Like, everyone always jumps on the number of title reigns and stuff. I mean, she doesn't help. She comes out in the jacket and woos and stuff, so she embraces it a bit too. But the fact of the matter is, she is a legend in her own right.
she is.
Right? Asuka is an absolute badass.
Yeah, she is.
And this was at like peak Asuka as well before she went out on injury for a little bit.
Mhm.
Like when she was sort of red hot. And I'm not saying she's not now, but when she was red hot with the WWE and she was like she come out of NXT as a big fucking deal. And I think it's fair to say, definitely deserves a mention in this list of Asuka versus Charlotte.
What do you make of the whole she was ready for Asuka thing? Some people hated that, some people loved that.
I mean, to be honest, I think it's a shame a little bit that it kind of killed that nobody's ready for Asuka thing.
Yeah.
Because they kind of made that go away a bit too soon for me.
Mm.
I mean, the line itself's not great as she was ready, but I don't mind the Charlotte win. I think we got used to them. I just think it's a little bit of a shame that that was sort of part of the shtick, wasn't it? Like nobody's ready for Asuka. And it turns out she was pretty ready.
She was.
Because didn't she say that after winning? She won the Rumble, didn't she, Asuka? And she said it after winning the Rumble as well. And you're like, badass.
Yeah.
Like in a way, it would have been nice if she'd have took the win. But I do kind of get why they didn't.
Yeah.
They were dependent on Charlotte, and WWE had this big habit of depending on Charlotte and go, wow, we don't want to take a risk. We know Charlotte is a champion and a money champion. And I would argue it was probably a bit risk averse with Charlotte. And I was like, well, we'll put her on every show, and you're like, calm down. But
every time we talk about Charlotte, it's always
I
like,
know it still bugs me, and it's not. You know what? I think it's because it's that. It's like Charlotte's just doing her job, and they're going, "We're gonna put you here, there, and there." I'm like, calm down, WWE, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
But
turns out everybody wasn't ready for Charlotte.
Well, that's what I think. But I kind of get why that wasn't particularly great, and I wish they'd have probably maybe not put her up against Charlotte as soon. But you can't deny that this was a banger of a match and deserves a spot in the list, Cal.
Fair play. So in at number 9, Anthony, we have got a tag team match for the women's division. We had the Bella twins taking on the team of AJ Lee and Paige.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Paige.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
Great, and nice to
she's
speak to her
awesome.
someday.
It would be.
But
yeah, I really like this match. This to me was so I know it's like, well, the women's champion, well, the Divas champion was in the match, but it felt like it was not just, we need to throw a women's match on for the title just because we need to fill a quota. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to remember the storylines around this time, but am I right in saying this was like, it made a lot of sense as well because this was on the back of the AJ Paige.
So
back and forth.
They'd already had all their beef.
They sort of come around to that sort of
to align onto the same page
with that understanding or that respect.
Yeah.
So storyline wise, it kind of made a lot of sense.
It did, but also from you had obviously the Bellas who are just like, we're the Bella twins, we're all glam and whatever, and both Paige and AJ were very much the opposite of that, weren't they? They wanted to stand out for their wrestling, not their looks. They were counter culture, whatever. Is that the right thing to say?
Well, I suppose it is counterculture, isn't it? That was the culture in WWE, and they were the
And also, this was I believe this was AJ's last match, wasn't it? So she never.
I think you're right, actually. Yeah,
I don't think she ever did anything again after this, and I think it was quite poetic in a sense that Paige's first main title win
Yeah.
And then obviously she's in
Yeah.
AJ's last match. But
actually, I never considered that, but that is it is kind of bookends it nicely, doesn't it?
And obviously, you know,
you can't have bookends. Not a Paige.
Indeed. She's got a book coming out.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
She does.
It'd be nice to read it.
It would.
We're only doing this for us. No one else is going to get why we keep doing that.
Or will they now? So if
maybe, who knows?
If you think you know why we're saying all this, then leave a comment.
Leave a comment.
Well, this one for me, I absolutely loved it. You know, the Bellas, I think, get a lot of shit, and I think it's undeserved.
Yeah.
You know,
what I will say, and this is not against the Bellas when I say this, I think what probably doesn't help is that they went into the Hall of Fame before other people who perhaps should have already been in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I think that makes people go, well, and you're like, well, everyone deserves it, but like it is a bit of a mindfuck sometimes.
Yeah. It is.
It is what it is.
But yeah, they get
unnecessary
flack. I think they were both good in this, and I think obviously Paige, AJ were great as well.
So. I think the thing is the space for every type of variety is key, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't want clones of the same thing over and over. So you can't have equally you can't have all alternative alt rock counterculture AJ and Paige, because if that's all we had, then that would be the norm, and then you wouldn't have any variety. So you need the Bellas as a counter to, do you know what I mean?
Just doing ASMR again on the microphone thing. Stop it.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Is what I'm saying now.
Sorry, I think the WWE, well, not the WWE, the fan base went into this culture of if you fall into the the almost more typical diva style, then you're somehow lesser as a wrestler. But it's you need a mix of styles. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Not just AJ styles.
All the styles. But yeah, so I think deservedly in at number 9. And number 8.
Number 8.
Last year.
Madness. Now, before I go into this, has Becky had a match since this?
That's a great question, actually. I honestly don't know. Maybe not.
Okay, interesting.
Has Becky had a match? There's no comments.
Well, the reason I'm like, did she beat her so bad that she hasn't had a match?
Hell of a scalp, isn't it, Drew?
No, but obviously, I don't think you could ever have a list like this without having these two in there in some form. And I think this was it was a great match, and it was I suppose when you consider worlds colliding, and I'm curious to know how you feel about this as well. So for those who are listening and can't see the graphic and just listen to me rambling, we've got Rhea versus Becky.
We do this a lot.
Becky Lynch. Sorry for those who still are like, who's Becky?
Rhea Ripley.
Sorry, Rhea. How many Rheas are there in WWE? Anyway, but I think given the absolute tear that Rhea was on, and obviously the legend that Becky had sort of made herself with the man, and ever since the bloodied nose and sort of building that rep as a badass, this collision was just brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But the reason I'm curious what you think of it, because I think this was undeniably a good match. However, you're a big fan of mirror matches, and there is a definite sort of size and power difference here. Yeah. So were you particularly?
It's not like
engaged with that. I know you're not
it's not
a mirror match. So
get out, take measure out, and they're like, no, she's an insurer. This is bullshit.
No, but I think in terms of power and
I get you.
There's a definite you would argue that Rhea obviously should win, and did that affect your enjoyment of this match?
Well,
or
I don't know whether I would.
Becky's sort of never say die sort of attitude.
Well, exactly. I don't know whether I would argue that Rhea would definitely win because of what Becky had gone on to achieve and what she'd done. She's come out on top in triple threats and stuff where she had no chance. So she built herself into that character where you thought that she could probably beat anyone, including Rhea Ripley. Doesn't matter what size they are.
And that's the thing. I suppose I was just curious whether it would sort of, I don't know, be less enjoyable for you if it were a bit more of a parallel, I guess. No.
And I also like the entry. Obviously, so Rhea had whoever does the theme music singing her down to the ring.
She did, yes.
And Becky had the literally the book thing where she came out the book because she's done her book, didn't she? But I liked all that. It felt grand. It felt big, and it felt like the two top women in the company going at it.
Yeah, and it had to collide, didn't it? And that's and you can't. Yeah, and let's face it, both future Hall of Famers, both absolute fucking legends.
But when? Because then it'll be
next year, maybe. Who fucking knows?
And people will kick off because it's not the right time. So I think I agree. Yeah, number 8 for that one. In at number 7, Anthony, taking a little bit more old school this time, bringing you Trish Stratus and Mickie James.
I don't even know what pay-per-view that is.
WrestleMania. That's the point. It's the best women's
Where's the logo?
WrestleMania. It's up there somewhere. Yeah. So, do you know what? This, for its time, I'm a fan of the classics.
Yeah.
What?
Wasn't this like controversially like?
It was controversial.
Yeah.
For reasons. But
yeah.
Right. At the time, the women never got any time to do anything. Yeah.
True.
And they, both Mickie and Trish, had fucking built this incredible story where Mickie was this super fan and all that. And
he did like Trish a lot.
So did we all. But this was one of the first times for like a women's feud that I was just like, do you know what? I want to see this more than like 80% of the other stuff on here because they built it up so well. They both like delivered so well. The match was phenomenal. You know, it gave a massive spotlight onto Mickie, who was brand new to the company, and kind of put her in like, okay, she's championship material. And it was just fantastic. And I just think for its time, don't get me wrong, we have had some other good matches. Like we had a couple of triple threats with Jazz. So, you know, big shout out to Jazz because, you know, in a division when there wasn't, people would like Trish was just getting into it, just learning it and stuff. Jazz really did carry the division.
Yeah.
But for me, the added storyline aspects to it, as well as the in-ring stuff, like this was like at the time, Trish was just like, this was phenomenal for her, like because she was still learning and she was the champ, but this was like, oh fuck, she's good now, she's like really good.
Yeah.
And Mickie with all their experience, they just bounced off each other so well. So for me, we had to recognize this one, and I think it deserves its place at number 7 on the list.
I mean, it's always talked about.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the controversial aspect, obviously. So I feel bad for Mickie on that because
that moment seems to get remembered more than the match itself.
It's a shame that overshadowed everything because you know we were
very much in that era.
Well, we weren't that far off the Attitude Era to be honest. So it was like
we went never mind Attitude Era. We weren't far away from the HLA bloody era, which was what was that post Attitude? That wasn't it?
I think it was sort of.
Does Invasion count as an era by itself? I don't think that was Attitude really, but.
That's just the kind
of... There's like a Bischoff period of time, you know?
Just kidding.
And it got Bischoffed, you know?
Just kidding. Yeah, don't know. But exactly. I think it's a shame that moment gets thought about. Featured more.
Yeah.
Anyway, number 6, Anthony. Again from last year. Get all the easy ones.
I think this is a good one, right?
Well, that's good because it's on the list of the 10 best.
Well,
so
you know what? Like, on a wing and a prayer, I'm going to talk about it, right?
Okay.
EO versus Bayley, right? I think this is a good one. As you know, I'm a fan of Bayley, right? Every time we have one of these match card things, prediction things that you do. Yeah. I always guess Bayley.
Yeah. Not in the actual predictions, though, because you never vote and then you get no points.
Does my vote on film not count?
You want me to go back through every time?
Fine, I'll start voting. But I'm a Bayley fan, right? She absolutely won me over. Was it during the pandemic? Basically, when she turned
Ding Dong Hello.
More so when she first turned heel. So slightly before the Ding Dong Hello stuff, but when she first turned heel, and I was utterly convinced, like she's not going to be a convincing. She's too nice. She's too smiley. She's too much of a good guy. I just can't see her being a heel, and she absolutely proved me wrong. And for whatever reason, in proving me wrong, completely enamored me to the character. I'm just like, Bayley's just. She's the best horsewoman, right? Fight me on it. She's the best fucking horsewoman, right? So obviously she has to be on one of these lists, right?
She does.
And EO, I think, probably. I kind of want to say she doesn't get the credit she deserves, right? Because she's doing really well on the main roster. But at the same time, I'm probably talking about the annoying fan base more than the WWE because they obviously trust her quite a lot.
Yeah.
So she's getting what she deserves in that sense, really. But again, these two put on an absolute banger of a match. They're both incredibly great technical wrestlers anyway. And I think other than, because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Bayley won. I'm almost certain Bayley did.
Bayley won.
Did he win? She's held the title since then. I feel like she's not held the title in a long time.
Yeah, she won the title at Mania.
I don't know, man.
Very sure.
Okay, well, I'll go back and check that. But in any case, absolute banger of a match. And
well,
it's probably a great example of elevating a newer talent.
Yeah. I think as well, obviously, you talk about the storylines, the importance of it. You had the whole damage control thing and her usurping Bayley is that, which all that kind of fed into it, didn't it? But it's just nice to see not just, oh, we need to put a women's match on, let's just throw it on the card. It's like, it's built up.
It was
it's got a
deserved and it
purpose.
was built, that's fair.
Yeah, banger of a match. And yeah, is it controversial that we picked this one over Rhea and Becky? I don't think so.
Nah.
But again,
you've got to pick the best horsewoman.
Let us know in the comments.
Oh, you just milking that today.
Okay, and at number 5, we've got WrestleMania 38. We've got Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair.
Why does this look like it's come from 2K25 or something?
I don't know. It was actually surprisingly hard to find match graphics.
Really, yeah? That'd be super easy.
Yeah, but it really wasn't. So yeah, this is another one. And I think Bianca shows up on here another couple of times, but she's had a really good WrestleMania run. But yeah, another great one for Becky. This was obviously Bianca's revenge from when Becky rocked up at SummerSlam, pinned her in like seconds, didn't she? And then it was like, damn. So this was the opportunity for Bianca to prove that she can hang with the man, and prove she did.
Damn.
Yeah. But I think, was it Becky that got injured during this match, like quite early on, like a barricade spot or something, and we were like, oh shit, that doesn't look good, and she obviously carried on and through it all. But yeah, this was the kind of match that made Bianca a star, I think, because
100%.
it was like, you've got probably the top women's talent in the business, putting her over.
Yeah.
So
I think I remember around the time you were saying about like the sort of building Bianca as like the female Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're almost a little bit like, but I feel like they've been very careful with it. I don't think they went too far with the when Cena got that kind of energy of people being like, and I feel like they kind of they pivoted well enough that I don't think she's getting that kind of heat.
Well, I'm interested to see what happened to this year's Mania, because they pivoted her into the tag division and she was away from it and stuff. I see similarities with Charlotte. I think fans eventually are just going to be like, oh, fucking hell, Bianca again. And it's undeserved.
Very undeserved, yeah.
So it's like, I hope that doesn't happen, because she has been out of the title picture. She has been doing a thing in the tag division. So now this year, I'm hoping that... I mean,
it's a shame because there's no sort of natural pivot into the title scene right now. If the title was on, say, Naomi or even Jade, which I know we haven't quite got there yet, but like, then it makes sense to be been involved in that story-wise. It makes sense, but otherwise she'd just be totally turning direction on what's going on there and going for the title. So, I don't think there's a natural progression to it right now, but like you say, there's absolutely you shouldn't get that kind of energy if she's in the title picture again.
Agreed. Number 4, Anthony.
Number 4. Who have we got, Carl?
Got Miss Sasha Banks. We got Charlotte Flair. We got Becky Lynch again.
So is this 3 of the 4 horsemen?
It is, yeah. I didn't know you could do maths.
I do maths.
Not the best one.
So
apparently.
my biggest issue with this match is, where's Bayley?
Yeah.
I reckon. So yeah, I mean, naturally these guys, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this was before Becky sort of went through the roof as a superstar.
So this is where Becky was overlooked, and obviously there was that.
She's still doing the steampunk thing at this point?
A little bit, yeah. This was where at the end of the match there was the moment where basically she turned on Charlotte.
She's got the fucking Divas title on her shoulder. I should be able to tell you straight away that it's definitely weren't like the man, Becky, when the Divas title's still knocking about.
Yeah.
But
this is where Becky finally was like, I've had enough, and smacked the shit out of Charlotte.
Yeah. But again, incredibly good match. It's interesting really because I'm probably looking at it through a lens of now. But even Charlotte, as big as she is, they were all, in a much different place. Could you even class any of them as legends at this point?
No, I don't think so.
And I'm looking at it through a lens of them being legends now, as much as people like to hate on Mercedes. She was great in WWE, whether you like what she's doing in AEW at the minute or not. She's a great wrestler, you know what I mean? And one of the pivotal ones for this era, They forget about, was it Baby first or there with 2 belts?
I don't know. Remember? I don't think it was Baby.
No, it was Becky first.
Yeah,
actually,
Becky 2 belts.
But then Bayley did those straps. I'm sure Sasha did it as well for a bit.
Maybe.
But in any case,
well, now she's got about 10, hasn't she?
Yeah. So. But absolute fucking legends in the making here, and it's a great way to cap it off, and to have an earlier match of theirs still be sort of featured in this list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in at number 3, Anthony, we have got. You talk about Sasha Banks and obviously how good she was. Sasha versus Bianca Belair. Now, this was obviously, the first thing that comes to mind, how emotional the two were. Kind of, obviously, 2 black females.
Main event.
Main event. And, you could tell that it was just,
Yeah, you could see the emotion even just on the entrances. You could see the emotion in this match.
100% you could. And they brought it, man. The pair of them. This was probably, other than maybe her NXT days, this was probably Sasha's best match, I think.
No, I dare say.
Best singles match, at least.
I dare say, actually, yeah.
But yeah, and again, you talk about elevating Bianca. This was, again, the perfect way to do it. This is probably one of the first times we got that proper hair whip, and like you could see the welts on Sasha's ribs and everything. I remember we were watching it, and we were just like, ah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an epic match. It was an epic moment for the pair of them. And I just
100%.
think,
again, probably another match that is a good example of why, like, what built Bianca to be who she is.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And this is obviously the first WrestleMania back after the pandemic in front of fans and stuff as well.
Oh yeah, it was the pirate ship one, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, for me, it was just, it had all the emotion, it had the build up. But the pair of them were kind of trading shots beforehand, trying to prove who was the BEST in WWE. So yeah, for me, definitely number 3.
Slight digression. Am I remembering this right or wrong? Did they do the pirate ships during the pandemic and then do it again when they were?
So they had the Pirates theme because it was meant to be in Tampa, wasn't it? And then obviously it all shut down. So they did the
kept the
Performance
theme,
Center.
didn't they? And
Yeah,
then
so
the following WrestleMania was in Tampa and they did the Pirates again,
yeah,
didn't they?
exactly.
Yeah.
So
I remember Kevin being like, I want to jump off the ship, and I'm like, well, that was in the pandemic though, wasn't
yeah,
it?
but they changed the stage and everything,
Yeah.
didn't they? And obviously they modified the logo slightly, but it was still
Sorry, I was just in my head, so I had to get it out there.
No, it's fine. So the match that is runner-up, Anthony,
Fucking
of
hell.
the greatest
Here we
of
go.
all time.
Oh,
Fan of triple threats, aren't you?
I am a oh, right, okay. Almost controversial when you look at it now. When you look at
Main
like,
event.
yeah, right, but it does deserve to be as high as it is in this list.
Yeah.
But again, if you look at it through a lens of now, with Ronda getting the hate, again, sorry for the audio fans, Becky versus Ronda versus Charlotte.
Yeah.
Both
titles on the line.
Both titles. Yeah, Ronda wasn't getting the heat she's getting now, or was getting towards the end of her career, and getting now for mentioning wrestling being shit or whatever she says.
Oh yeah.
Charlotte kind of gets a lot of heat, as we know. So you'd argue like two-thirds of this match kind of get hated quite a lot. But again, it was a different time, and they are all absolute stars. Ronda was ironically probably the weakest one in this match, but being able to be carried by the man and Charlotte is, it made for a great match. So,
it did. Again, controversial. It's a controversy overshadowed it again a little bit, didn't it? Because of the pin and like Ronda's shoulders not being properly down and stuff and all that bullshit. But
I think we were convinced that was going to end up being a work, and it didn't really, did it?
No. And I think sometimes shit just happens like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. But sometimes like you expect them to roll with it, and then sometimes they just fucking don't. It is what
it is. But no, I think obviously massive crowning moment for Becky in the work she'd put in, becoming Becky 2 belts. And
this was the start of 2 belts, wasn't it?
It was. And as you say, like, say what you want about Ronda, but star power alone, like, if it wasn't for Ronda, I don't think they would have given the ladies the main event.
I agree.
I don't even think it's just because of that. If you think back to the build of this as well, this is when it was like fucking, they were in the cop cars and they was kicking the glass out and everything, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
and Becky
like,
bloody nose.
That's
and,
a fair point. Yeah.
Like loads of stuff was going on, and it was like, this is good, man.
Yeah. Arguably, this was one of the earlier where they're actually letting women have some really kind of, not brutal's not the right word, not even by today's standards. You can't really compare it brutality wise to like Toni Storm versus Mariah May, for instance. But this was that sort of early doors, like.
Early doors.
Just hit puberty mid interview. There you go. But it was more that early doors, like a bit more physicality, I suppose.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, and again, you've got 2 of the horsewomen. You've got Ronda Rousey, all the fucking star power, and I think Triple H says it now. The
question again: where's Bayley?
Triple H has said it again, hasn't he? Recently, it's like he's not just going to put like a women's match as the main event because we should put a women's match. It's if they earn it, then they'll be there.
Yeah.
And this is an example where they earned it.
He's following that DEI method that the government are going for, isn't he? I'm not going to do it because you tell me to do it. It's like, okay. So what you're saying is, Trips, no women's main event. Cool.
Which takes us to number 1. I'm sure you've all guessed it by now. It is Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley 2.
It's crazy, isn't it, to think like Rhea's transformed herself that much. Obviously, not in a complete total shift of who she is,
Yeah.
But if you consider who she was the first time they fought,
Versus
like,
this.
and
Yeah.
even how she is now as well, like they're just like worlds apart, aren't they?
A
Like,
million
she's so developed,
A
so
million
much as a
percent.
wrestler. But
This
Yeah.
for me, I knew Rhea was super talented. I'd always thought, oh, but her mic work and her confidence isn't there. Will she ever get to that next level? Right? Like
She
the
goes-
first match they did for the NXT
Yeah.
women's title.
it was like Charlotte versus Evil Charlotte, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it was just like, oh. Whereas here, Rhea definitely felt like she was her own person.
Mm.
They had the added layers of the fact that Charlotte already beat her once previously at Mania, but also the added fact of all that. Like, Rhea grew up, spent her whole life being compared to Charlotte and want to be Charlotte. And here she is for the fucking top title at WrestleMania. And it was like cinema. As people like to say. I don't know why I'm Italian when I do that.
Cinema.
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 So yeah. So the fact that there was layers. Ogres have layers, that's all I'm saying.
Like an onion.
Yeah. No, I loved it, obviously, and then that's before you even talk about the match quality. Like, this is, without any disrespect at all to the Divas division or to the like older school women's division, because there was definitely bangers in there. This showed how far women's wrestling had come.
Oh, yeah.
This was, you know what I mean? This was just night and day. It was brutal. It was intense. The pair of them were beat up to fuck after it. You know what I mean? They were
100%.
bruised. It was just, yeah, you could see how much it meant to both of them, all the effort they put in. And it delivered literally the best women's wrestling match at WrestleMania of all time.
Yeah, I think it's great. I wouldn't even dispute.
Yeah.
As much as I like to dispute. And you know what? I'll have to ask the question because I've asked it for most of them.
Go on.
Where's Bailey? But,
do you know where Bailey is? Let us know in the comments below.
Let's play a rousing game of Where's Bailey? But no, I think undeniably I'd have to agree with you. This deserves the top spot.
That's good, because it's the A2theK Wrestling Show, so it was just me and my list, and then you're
But
like,
I thought we were arguing. I thought this was almost a
you're just used to arguing with me, aren't you?
All right, fine.
You know what I mean? But what do you think? Have we missed a match? Is there a glaring omission?
Here's an argument for you. What about the men? Can't like it.
Would you want to see that? Let us know. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got some fun episodes coming up. We've got some pretty cool interviews coming up. So
Some really
check
cool
them out.
interviews.
Really cool.
Really cool.
And yeah, so make sure that you check that out and stuff. And to our audio listeners, thanks a bunch, because we've been charting loads lately. We're in New Zealand.
Off the chart.
Obviously, big shout out to Denmark as always.
I thought you were going to try and do the Kiwi accent.
We loved it. Nah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, big thanks to New Zealand, big thanks to Denmark, and of course the UK.
I mean, we know some Great Danes. So.
Exactly. So if you are in the States and you're watching this, and do you know what, maybe you're commuting to work, maybe you just haven't got time to look at a screen right now, then give us a listen as well. Be good to be charting back in the US again.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't that long ago when we were like pretty high up there, to be fair. So
not a distant memory.
I know you want to look at our beautiful faces. I
get
understand.
that.
Yeah, check us out on audio as well. Yeah, let us know. Did we miss anyone? Did we miss your favourite women's WrestleMania match? Let us know in the comments. We will catch you on the next one.